Hey, what's up guys? So in today's video, I'm going to teach you 3 different incredible forces that you will always use. Each of these forces are not only incredibly easy to do, but they are also very convincing and fooling. And on top of the forces, I'm also going to teach you a really cool trick at the end using one of these forces. Let's get into it. Alright, so the force card that I'll use to demonstrate these forces with will always be the ace of spades here, just so we don't get confused on what we're doing here. Alright, so the first one looks like this. So the person can just say stop as I start dealing cards like this. They can say stop anywhere. Maybe they say stop right here. Actually, better yet, instead of doing that, why don't you just cut some cards off just like this, right off the top here. They do that, and they put them there. Now, that could have been anywhere. The combination of you stopping anywhere, you cutting anywhere, I had no control over whatsoever. But the cool thing here is, though, that it's always going to be that ace of spades. All right, so I love this force, and it's sort of a different handling on Peter Turner's wonderful staggered crosscut force, which he combines the psychological stop force where the card is at number 7 and sort of a timing thing. But I feel like you don't have to do the timing thing. You can just have the card anywhere and it'll still work. And what I do is I get it to about a third down from the deck, like this, and I keep a break there. And my favorite way to set up for a force, one that you need to hold a break for, instead of doing this, cutting the deck and then doing it, because that just looks like you're preparing for something, what I do instead is I give the deck an overhand shuffle, keeping an end jog like this. As I'm talking like this, I just, chop off about half or maybe 2/3, run one card on top of that force card here. We'll leave it face up. I'll just leave it face up, chop off about 2/3, run one card and shuffle out the rest like this, but keep it neck tight so they can't see that huge in jog, right? Now, still keeping it sort of neck tight so they don't see that business back there. You say, what I'll do is start dealing cards. And this is a great subtlety, by the way. To make it look like you're actually squaring the deck with an end jog, just simply do this. Just run your thumb along the end jog like this. So from the front, it looks like that you're squaring the deck, right? So now what happens is you're going to deal cards like this one at a time, kind of slowly, so you don't go past the end jog, obviously, and have them say stop anytime. All right, deal slow like this, so you don't run into accidents. They say stop, and once they do say stop, actually better yet, to make it even more fair, why don't you go ahead and reach over and cut off some cards like this? And so extend this hand forward and have them do that, and so they'll cut off some cards like this and plop them onto there. Next, you plop these onto here, and both their plop and your plop for the replacement is a very nice subtlety. It gives the impression like they could have cut anywhere. It was kind of illogical, because even though they did cut somewhere, the top card is not where they actually cut, but later on it'll be fine due to this sort of cross-cut force configuration here. And it's, after they plop those on and you do this, say that could have been anywhere. You could have stopped anywhere, you could have cut anywhere. I had no control over that whatsoever, blah, blah, blah. And just sort of hold this over for a second and say, well, do whatever you want in terms of your routine, but at some point just hand them the card and then plop these onto here. So a combination of the dealing and them saying stop, them cutting both plops, and then this, it really gives the impression like that card could have came from anywhere after the dealing and the cutting. And it's wonderful, very fooling, and yeah, give it a try. Alright, so here's what this next one looks like here. So what you do is you have the person just say stop as you throw down cards like this in bunches. Now, once they do, you say, well, that could have been any card, that could have been anywhere. But just to make it even more impossible, where I couldn't know anything, why don't we put maybe 1 or 2 cards down from where you said stop? What do you think? 1 or 2 cards? Maybe they say 1 card. We'll put 1 card there, and we'll take the next card over to here. Now, you could have said stop anywhere. You could have had 1 or 2. That was up to you. But amazingly, it's always the ace of spades. All right, so what makes this force so fooling for people is there's really two things going on in this force. One is what Roberto Giobbi refers to as a clouding question, which makes them forget any sort of I don't know, sneaky thing you might be doing with the cards. All right. The next thing is Alan Ackerman's wonderful a subtlety where you cut the deck, but it doesn't look like you cut the deck. And full credit goes to Alan Ackerman for that. So yeah, and this is what you do. So you want to get the force card down in the deck about, I don't know, a little more than a quarter up from the bottom of the deck. So like here, maybe about a third is what I'm trying to say. And you want to get one card on top of that, so you have a break. Over one indifferent card, and the second card under the break will be the ace of spades. And the way I like to do that, like the last video, you'll have the force card on top of the deck to begin with, and what you'll do is you'll chop off about a third, run one card, in-jog the next card, so that in-jog is 3 cards above that ace of spades, about a quarter up from the bottom of the deck here. So now, just like the last one, you do that squaring subtlety like this, like we talked about with the in-jog, right? Just like this, and so it looks like you're squaring the deck. Now, you want to go the opposite way of how you normally do it. So I'm left-handed, so I throw cards down typically to my left, but in this case, I'm going to do it the opposite way, and you'll see why in a second. So start throwing down bunches of cards like this, and sort of like reverse spread the cards as you do this. Now, once they say stop, you'll simply spread over to your in-jog like this and take all the cards away in a gesturing manner. You say that could have been any card like this. There's no way I could have known where you would say stop. And look how good that is. It doesn't even look like you do anything, but what you accomplish with this, of course, you've got the ace of spades second from top here. I'll run through that one more time. What it is 2 reverse spreads in the action of cutting the deck. It doesn't look like anything happens at all. All right, I'll leave that face up so we can follow it. So once again, chop off about a third, run one in-jog, and then shuffle off the rest, keeping that in-jog there. Do your subtlety like this. Start throwing down cards in the opposite direction that you normally do, like this. Of course, don't do this. Keep it sort of necktie so that they can't see the in-jog. And then once they say stop, it just casually in a gesturing manner, you say that could have been anywhere as you go to that in-jog. Take the in-jog away, of course, and then say that could have been any card as you reverse spread these like this by simply putting your thumbs on top, fingers below like this, curled underneath, and just pushing and pulling in opposite directions like this as you turn them up, like this. So once again, you're here. That could have been, you got your in-jog. That could have been any card as you turn these up anywhere. Just put these underneath now so it looks like nothing happened. It still looks like a spread. And just hold these here in your opposite hand now. Now you say that could have been anywhere, but just to make it to where you have all the control, you make all the choices. How many more cards? 1 or 2. And they'll look up and they'll forget about the sort of cut thing. If it looks weird to them at all, which it won't. But a clouding question is always nice to have anyway in your back pocket. So you say, how many more cards? 1 or 2, you be the judge. Now, if they say 1 card, you simply just take off this card. Okay, there's 1 card there, and you give them the next card. If they say 2, same thing. Okay, so you want 2 more cards? Boom, boom. So it's always you get to it with 1 or 2. In either scenario, you just hand them the card, and since these are already reverse spread, you just plop those on as if it was the direction and the orientation of the deck all along. And I just love that. I hope you like it too. All right, so this final force, I will teach you a cool effect that goes with it. But also I want to mention here that this shares some things, a few things actually, with the last 2 forces, and I'll show you what I mean here. All right, so imagine that we have a person here, and we're going to get them to cut a few piles, all right? So cut about this many cards right over to here, and they do that, and then we'll put the final pile there. Now, any 3 amount of piles could have been cut to. Now, I could maybe know something about the top one or the bottom one, but the center one I could know nothing about. So why don't you take that middle pile, and also just in case I may have seen something, I'll turn around, and what I want you to do is take the top card and just bury it in the middle of the deck. That way the second card has never been seen by human eyes, or maybe just me. Alright, so look at your new top card and remember it, and they do. Alright, so like I said, this force shares things in common with the last two forces, something from each. And this is actually a little bit of a variation one that I like to do, inspired from Steve Beam's misdirection middle deal. That's misdirection middle deal. Yeah, that's what it's called. And so what we're doing here is this, just like on the last one, what you're going to do is start an overhand shuffle, chopping off this time about 2/3 of the deck, all right? And you'll run one like this and inject the next, just like the last one that I taught you, okay? So you'll do this, and of course, you'll do your squaring action, and you'll say, look, we're going to cut the deck into 3 piles, roughly equal, so why don't you reach over and cut off about this many cards, and you just plop these down. Now, since you just cut to your end jog, the ace will be second from top now, right? So now you get them to do that, and then they cut about half of these. All right, they do that and put them there. Then you just put the rest here. So it looks like the deck has been cut 3 times, and that this is the middle pile, but really it contains your force card, right? So you say, I could know something about these 2 end piles. This is the top, this is the bottom, but there's no way I could know anything about this middle portion of the deck here. So you slide that forward, and you say, look, well, just in case I may have seen something, I'll turn around, and what I want you to do is get rid of the top card, just in case anybody saw it, okay? And while your back is still turned, you just ask them to put this top card in the middle, and you say, now the next card nobody has ever seen until right now, all right? You're the only person that's going to see it, all right? Now ask them to look at the top card, and they remember it, and that's the force. Now here's the trick. All right, so what you do is you have them look at their card and then put it back. So you tell them to put it back somewhere in the middle of their packet, and ask them to give it a mix, so not even them could know where it is now. And next, while your back is still turned, you ask them to put it on top of any other pile, which they do. And finally, take the last pile and put it on top of everything. Now have them square the deck, and finally you turn back around. Now you say, look, I just want you to focus and concentrate on your card, okay? So, let's see, I'm going to try to read your mind. Okay, I think I've got it. And now you pick up the deck, and you say that before you even touch the deck, as if you already know what it is, and possibly you're right. So that's a John Bannon idea, which I love. And so you pick up the deck, and you say, I could go through like this and try to find your card, but that would not be so impressive. And so what you've done here is you can either call the card to the top, which I've just done, or you can do that Alan Ackerman idea that I talked about, where you go through and say, I could go through and find your card like this, but there's no way I could know. My back was turned. And you just, what you're doing here is that same reverse spread two-handed thing, but you just do that when you come to the force card, right? So make sure it's on top of here. And I couldn't know anything about your card. You did everything. My back was turned, blah, 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 blah. And so just do that reverse spread thing, loading it or cutting it on top of the deck. Now you say, or you can give it a shuffle like this. What I'm going to try to do is try to find your card in a special way. But just so we know, is your card on top or is it on the bottom? And they'll say no. And what that little thing there was just a little added convincer. I think it's a Roberto Giubbi or a Juan Marie's idea. But really what you do here is you show that it's not on top or the bottom by lifting up some cards. And you don't have to get a perfect double lift. Just, it can be like a packet of 5. It doesn't matter because it's in motion, so that they'll never think that it's more than 1 card. So you don't get it. It's breakless. You don't have to get a break. So just say it's not on top or on the bottom, is it? And that was like 6 cards there, but you couldn't really tell. All right, so no break. You just simply pick up a few cards. All right, it couldn't be on top or the bottom. I wouldn't even touch the deck. I'll leave it right there. Now just focus on your card for a minute. All right, imagine that it's wherever it is in the middle of the deck, it's going to rise to the top of the deck. when I snap my fingers. And now don't even touch the deck and have them look at the top card, and to their amazement, it'll be their card.